Why do we need cheap food? We need cheap food because wages are so low.
Raj Patel is an academic, author, and activist. He's been called a rock star in the food justice movement and even a messiah. So I sat down with him at UT Austin's microfarm to get the skinny on the global food system.
How is it that we can have so many people who are starving and so many people who are obese at the same time?
Well, I mean, the driver is always the same. It's poverty. If you are starving in the world today, it's because you don't have enough money to be able to buy food. And that's as true in the United States as it is elsewhere. So in the United States, we have 50 million people who are food insecure, who at some point during the year don't have enough money to be able to buy their next meal. And globally, the reason we have around a billion people who are malnourished, the reason that they are going hungry, again, is because they are too poor to be able to buy good food. But if you are able to buy food of some description and you still remain poor, then the kinds of options that are available, particularly in cities, aren't very good. With the rise of industrial and processed food, there are far more easy calories available and far less nutritious good calories available and good food available. And that's one of the reasons why we live in a world that has 1 billion people who are starving and nearly 2 billion people who are now overweight.
When we're talking about poverty, is there a gendered component to it as it exists around the world? Is there an inequality between men and women?
Right, well, absolutely. If you look at the people who are going hungry in the world today, 60% of people going hungry are women or girls.
Right.
And, well, again, it's because money is power, and in general, people who control money in households tend to be men. And that's as true, again, in the United States as it is elsewhere. It's about access to power and access to money.
Is there a role that corporations play here, and if so, what is it?
Well, I mean, corporations would say Americans have more food choice than anyone else because of corporations in America today. And it's true, there are so many different shapes and cans and flavors of zero-calorie things. And these soda corporations are very happy to say, look, if you want no calories, we can give you no calories in so many different forms. This is choice and freedom, and we're not forcing anyone to be able to be overweight at all. We are totally guiltless in all of this. And of course, that's a little disingenuous. The reason it's a bit strange for them to say that is because these corporations make most of their money by selling salt, fat, and sugar, precisely the kinds of things that are responsible for driving an epidemic of diabetes, for example. And at the same time, these corporations are in the business of trying to get every cent of subsidy they can out of the US government. So, at the same time as being able to produce cheap food, they are producing the kinds of food that are going to be resulting in this sort of epidemic of overweight and diabetes.
So to what extent should we be then fighting the corporations, and how?
The extent to which we should be fighting the corporations is all the damn time. I mean, if you look at the modern food system, the reason we have a food system in which there's very little democracy and in which we're told that cheap food is what we need to be fighting for, the whole world wants cheap food. If we're interested in a different food system, we need to be thinking, first of all, of getting rid of the corporations that peddle this cheap food. But also we need to be demanding higher wages, because it's no good saying, well, you should eat organic and you should eat local and homegrown and fair trade, when the prices of all those things necessarily are much higher.
What should Americans know about the food lobby in Washington?
8 out of 10 of the worst paid jobs in America are in the food system. In part, that's because the National Restaurant Association has done its level best to keep wages low. And it's happened because the National Restaurant Association has been such an effective lobby. There's an amazing amount of food lobbying that goes on from the consumer end all the way to lobbying for changes in farm subsidies. And all of this gets in the way of having a kind of national food policy in America that is going to keep Americans healthy rather than that's going to keep profit lines fat.